Answers. Okay. Oh. So recap, right? So this time, I would want you guys to give recap. So far, what have we learned? Like, what did we learn in last week or from so far? So can you guys all list out what all you could remember? So that way we could do a recap. You could unmute and talk. Who's gonna go first? What all we have learned so far in, like, I think we are in 6th class now.
We learned Python functions and error handling last class.
Okay.
We learned about the random and randed function.
Okay. What else? So far, like from the beginning, you could tell what all we have learned from day 1 today.
Defining a
And
function.
while loops.
Mm-hmm.
The try except.
Okay.
The map functions, like mod and things.
Okay. Good.
Nested loops.
Okay, good.
Different loops like for, while, if.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
And functions also, I think.
Okay.
Yes, functions.
All right. What else?
Like data sets, like dictionaries, tuple lists.
Good. Okay. So the different types of collections, right? So in collections, we learned about list so far, correct? Okay. Good job, guys. So pretty much, I think you have listed down everything. So this is what we have learned so far, right? So we learned about Python, then we learned about different data types, right? String, integer, what else? Booleans and all that stuff. Then multi-dimensional collections. We learned about list, 2D list. Then we learned about functions and different ways to use that. Then we also learned error handling. We learned about the math module, also about the random module, right? So far, we have covered all these things. So in today's class, we are going to learn more about collections. So far, we have learned list, right? So we have other types of collections in Python. So we are going to look what each of them means and like how to use them and everything in today's class. Okay. Before going to today's class, I want to take a minute to appreciate these guys. So we have Kavin, Gayatri, Hari, Pranil, Varsha, Jinyan, or Eddie, then Sanvi, Sashra, and Rohan. So the special mention is because of like the way they have submitted the homework. They have done a phenomenal job, and Kavin and Gayatri, kudos to you in special because the way you guys have come up with the programming solutions is so awesome. So we have published Kavin's solution as the homework key on the website. So you guys can take a look and see like how he has done. That will give you a different idea. See, not all programming is same, right? So each person will have a different approach. So you could take and see like what other ways they have done. And yeah, congratulations, guys. Keep keep up the good work. Okay. So let's go on to today's class. So like I said, we are going to talk about other types of collections. So this is a small chart that we learned about in I think session 2 or something when we started about data types, right? So we have the basic data types is numbers, booleans, then integer, float, complex. So all those things we have seen about it in the beginning class itself. So we also have learned about string. So the remaining data types that we have to learn is like set, dictionaries, and tuples. So list we have already seen. So let's talk about string. When it comes to string, right? We have some more methods, and there's something more that we could do with strings. So we will see that first and then go to tuples and dictionaries. So can someone tell me what is a string? What is a string? Anyone?
It uses alphabets
Okay.
and any numbers in it.
Okay. Any other definition? Anyone want to try?
Like a group of characters.
A group of characters. Okay. So correct. So string is nothing but like a sequence of characters or a group of characters. So it can be a number, it can be an alphabet, it can be space or anything in it, but it's nothing but a set of characters. That's what is defined as string. So when it comes to string, right? So we know how to assign a variable, assign a string, and convert an integer to string. So we learned all those things. But there are other delivered operations, like delivered methods that Python has given us so that we could manipulate the strings. Like we could do so much with that the string. What we can do with the string, we could we could concatenate, we could remove, we could modify it, we could validate. So we could do so much with that string once you have a string variable defined, right? So we're going to see that in deep in today's class. So like I said, right? So string is nothing but an individual character, correct? So how do you access every single character in it? Say, for example, Nadhiya, that's a string, right? So, but it has like 7 characters in it, NADHIYA, right? So what if you have to access every single letter in it, like every single character in it? How do you do that? If I want to find out what is the third letter, or if I want to find out what is the first letter of the string, is it capital? Is it small? Does the string have a space in it? Does the string have a special character in it? So we could assess all these things, right? So, for example, when you create a website password, right? Remember, it will ask like it should have 8 characters. It should have at least 1 capital letter. There should be a special character in it. So they give all those conditions, right? So how do they do those validations? So they access every single character of the string and analyze it, right? So that is an example of like why you want to analyze more about a string. How do you access every single character? Like NAD, after D comes H. How do you get that? How do you loop through that?
Using an index.
Correct. We could do it using index, like how we did the list and other things, right? Also, we could do it like as a loop, right? So we could do like for I in like first character till the last character, then it will go every character one by one. Or indexing. So indexing will start similar to list. Indexing starts from 0 up until like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up until the last string. It also uses negative indexing. That is, the last character is a -1 and it will just keep going. Okay, so similar to list, we can use the same methodology to access these loops and strings. So let's see how about that in detail. Okay. We're going to talk about strings. So can you guys see the screen better? Like what I'm typing? Is it big enough?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So like I said, right? So what is a string? String is nothing. It is enclosed within double quotes, or it can be enclosed within a single quote. So both of that defines a string. So a name. What is a name? So this is a color, right? So this is a string. So it has like 6 characters. So as a human, right? As soon as you see that, you could tell. So the first letter is V and the last letter is T. V is in caps and there is no numbers. So all those things our brain processes. But if you need to do the same using Python, like how to program it, so that's what methods are for. So we have some inbuilt methods that will help us do it. So before going to method, let's see how to loop through the strings. I want to print every single character in the string. I want to print every character in this string. How do you do that? Like I said, we could do using loop, or you could do using index / negative index. The negative index is like if you want to print, you want to access it from the last. Okay. Let's say color equals to violet. Okay. So how do you now access through? So you have to write the for loop. How do you do the for loop? What's the syntax?
For I in color.
For I in color, colon, print I. Okay. So this is a standard syntax. So you just tell for a variable in the actual string. Then your statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, however you want to print it. That's how you just do the same thing for here. Okay. So here I is a variable. Okay. I is the variable, color is the string. Okay. You could do like this, or you could also do like this. So instead of doing this, you could simply do like this too. For color in. Okay, let me finish this, then I'll show that. I don't want to confuse. So for I is the variable, color is the string. So now what will I represent now? So every time this loop runs, the I will represent the second time it comes, it will be I, then O, then L, then E, then T, right? So it will go through each character at a time. Okay, so that is called iterating or looping around. Okay, so that's what will happen. So if I now run this program, what will happen? Okay, so it just printed all the characters. So now I stands for first VIOLET. So this is the for loop, right? Similarly, I said we could do the indexing also, right? So when would you use index? When you know that for sure you want to access what do you call? You know the position you want to, right? So you want to say I need the first letter of the character and the last letter of the character. So when you know that, you could directly go to the index method to do that. So what is the first letter? How would you print it? Print color of. What is if I need to print the first? What should I give?
0.
X. Good job. So we have to give 0. So the 0 represents the first character and N represents the last. Is it N or N minus 1? N minus 1 represents the last, right? So if I have to print the last, what is it? What should I give now?
3.
3. Good. Because 0, 1, 2, and 3. So let's try running it. So B and E. So even if you have a space, right? So blue. Before I go to that, I'll show you negative index. So if I have to now use a negative index, I want to print U. What should I do? I need this letter U printed.
Minus 2.
Minus 2. So minus 1 is what? E. Okay. So this is from here, I think. Okay. So this is U and this is E. So if you want to print all the letters, what did you do? So this is 3 and this is 4, right? So this will print B, this will print L, this will print U, and this will print E. Okay. Good. Any questions so far?
No.
Yeah. So this is similar to how we deal with list, right? So in list, we deal with this every single elements, but here we are dealing with every single character in the sequence of letters. We just dealing like that. So not always this the string will be like this, right? The string can be like this too, right? Like name equal to, I can say Jeff, David, Rian, right? So these spaces are also in our character. Okay, so when you talk about the whole string, this whole thing including the space is now a string. Okay, so if you want to now print, let's see. So for I in name, print I, if you see, the space is also printed. Okay, so what it can be a space or it can be a special character like a junior, a dot. So anything within this whole set of string is considered as a character. So it will print all this. Okay, so it can have dot, it can have ampersand, doesn't matter. So it will just consider that as one single character and it will print. Here. Okay, so let's see this example. So my string is, my name is Charlie. Okay. So if you want to print selective characters, how you do? I'll tell my string of 0, which will print this M. Then I need this N. If I need the N, what should I print? What is N now? Which character, which index should I refer to?
3.
3. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. Good. So similarly, if I need this I printed, it will be my string of, I think, 3,
8.
4, 8. Good. Thank you. And if I need this first letter Charlie, C,
11.
11.
Oh wait, you put M string instead of.
Okay. Thank you. So that's all. So you just, if you know which character you want to access, you could use this indexing method. If you want to print everything or if you want to loop through from the beginning to the end, you use the for loop. So you just tell for I in name, then go print like this. There is another way to do this too. Okay, you could also do for I in range. Who remember range? So when you give range, you have to specify what? How many times it has to loop, right? So that's when you use this length function. So what does this length do is, it prints or it loops through for that many number of characters. So if you do, it's the same. See, it's printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why? Because now this I is nothing but a number, right? It just tells what the index number is because we are passing the length. So now if you want to print the name, you have to do this name of I, like how we did the other thing. So now name of 0 will print J, name of 0, 1 will be A, 2, 3 kind of. So either you could do this way or you could simply do this looping of this way. There is no difference. This is easier. This just goes through the index and then you access it from the index position. Okay. So both will print the same results. Any question? Okay, I take that as a no. So index, we talked about indexing, right? So in this example, if you see, I counted the 0, 3, 8, 11, and I gave, and the program came back with the correct answers. So what if, I'll just take away like this. So what if I give something like 15? Okay, I did not count. I just gave a valid or invalid number. I just gave a 15. So what will happen now? So 50 is still there. So I'll give 25. So we will get something called as an index error exception. See, string index out of range. So what that means is I am trying to access the character at the position 25. But if you count, I don't have anything. There is no position 25 at all, right? So it's telling there is no position like that. So it will give you this error string index out of range. So that's the only disadvantage of using this index position. If you don't give, if you are not sure how big the string is or how many characters the string is, then if you specify an invalid index, your program will error because the index is out of reach. So, but when you give the for loop, it will go from first to last. So it can be 25, 35, doesn't matter. The loop will run through for the whole set of characters. So that's the difference between that and this. Okay. So remember this index error. So as soon as you see this, you will know what it is. It clearly says index out of range. So there is no index of the number specified. Okay. Any question? Okay. Cool. So far we have learned about how to access the string, right? Using for loop or using index. So we could use both ways depending on what we need. So now let's talk about methods. So I said in the beginning of the class, right? So there are so many methods that is delivered in Python that we use to do certain things, right? So first thing that I could think of is what? Length. Say if you want to find the length of a string, you use this function called, what is it? Length. So this gives the length of a string. Say for example, city is equal to Atlanta. So if you want to find how big the string is, you just have to do print length of city. So it will tell you 7. So it just says how many characters. You could also do like this, okay? Length is equal to, you could do this. So you could assign this value to another variable and use it for your calculation. It can be for any purpose. Okay, like how we use in this range function, you could do that. Like we wanted to loop through for range, you could do that. Say if you have a password criteria, like I said, right? So when the user inputs a password, so say your website has a restriction, your password should be at least 8 characters. Now you can validate saying like, oh, the length is only 7, so I need it does not meet the password requirements. So for such scenarios, you could use this length function. Okay. What is? So the second thing that we have, the second method that we have is string concatenation. I think we have seen this before too. So does anyone know how do you do string concatenation, or what is string concatenation? The first. What is string concatenation? Anyone? Anyone? No one? Okay. So string concatenation is nothing but when you want to append one string to the other string. When you want to append one string to another, that's called string concatenation. Say you have your first name is Jack and your last name is I can't think of your name. Okay, David, and your middle name is K. Okay, or middle initial is K, whatever. Okay, so now I want you to print your full name. I want you to make a full name out of these 3 names. How do you do that? So first name, what is the symbol? Plus. Okay, so when you do this, first name plus middle name plus last name. So now you get your full name. Let's print the full name. Okay. So I did not give any spaces, so it just concatenated. So after Jack, this David got appended to Jack and K got appended here. Okay, so that's what happened here. So if you need a space, you just have to give a space and then do a concatenation. So this is called string concatenation. So now you get this in this format. If you want a comma in between, you could do that too. So however way you want, it will just concatenate. And now we have a variable which is the concatenated of all these three names. Okay, so this is what string concatenation is. Any question? Clear? Okay, so you could simply do this too. Print our standard hello. This works too. So you don't have to even have a variable to do that. So anywhere you want to join two strings and do something, you use this plus sign and that's it. The string gets added up. Okay, so this is string concatenation. So the next thing I want to talk about is see, when we create a string, right? So the strings are immutable. Okay, the strings are immutable, meaning once it is created, this is done. It cannot be changed. Okay, say you have the first name as, what did I give? First name is equal to, what did I give? Jack, right? So once this is created, that's it. I cannot do anything. I cannot change this Jack to anything. I cannot tell, okay, go add a J here, go add another E here. I cannot do that. Okay, so string is, that's it. Strings are immutable. Once you define the first name is Jack, it is done. You cannot change it. You could delete it or you could reassign it. Now we could go back and tell Jack Q. You should do that for it to change, but you cannot just say Jack Q plus Q, or you cannot use any symbol or anything to add a Q to the end. So now you have this, right? So you cannot assign. What I'm telling is like you can, so first name of 5 equal to Q. You cannot do that like how we do in list. In list, you go and add a last character, right? You just go and add, you could do append, you could do that, right? You cannot do that in strings. Once it is created, it cannot be changed. But if you say like this, right? Print my name is first name plus Brown. See here, if you see, you are thinking my name is Jack Brown. So you are thinking the first name now has this Brown added, right? But it's not. It just displays it like that. But if you go back and print the first name, it will still be Jack no matter what you do to it. So Jack, first name is always Jack until you go and change it to something else. But you cannot add or remove or anything. You cannot append anything to that. So that's why strings are called immutable. Once it is created, it cannot be changed. So keep that in mind. You could do some certain operations, but not everything. You'll get an error. Okay, if you try to add last character or like by using the indexing, you will get an error. Clear? Any questions? Okay, good. So the next thing I want to talk about is string slicing. Where does string slicing help is, I'll have this. let's say full name, right? So where did the full name go? Oh, I had it here. So now let's say, so string concatenation is nothing but we just assign all the strings and concatenated, right? So what is string slicing it? If you want to separate the string, so let's say the reverse of it. So here we just had our first name, last name, middle name, then we concatenated to form a full name. So if you have to do the reverse, say you have the person's full name, Jack. Yeah. So you have the person's full name. So now I'm asking you to separate and find out his first name, his middle name, and his last name. How would you do that? That's where the string slicing comes into picture. Okay, you could split it using the index. How do you do that? Let's see. So let's mark the index. Okay, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3 is Jack. So this is a space here. Then we have this 5, 6, 7. Then the space is 8. Then 9. Then 10, 11. Okay, it's going. So 13. Okay. So just bear with me here. So this is the whole numbering. Okay. So now, so you want to find the first name. How do you do that? First name is equal to full name. So you say from 0 till 3, right? So 0 till 3 is first name. Oh, I have to give till 4. Because this will go up until this number. So the range will always stop one number before it, right? So this is not inclusive. So if I tell 0 to 4, it will print from 0, 1, 2, and 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3 is Jack. So now you have sliced the string and got the first name. So similarly, if you need a middle name, full name, so what is it? So 4 is the space. So I'll start at 5, then I'll go until 8. So now this is the middle name. We got Jack, we got Kim. So then we have the last name. So this is last name is full, each character from 10 till 14. So this is how you use string slicing. Okay, so this statement assigns Jack to first name, and this statement assigns Kim to the middle name, and this one assigns David to the last name. Okay. So for example, what if you don't give the start or the end of the indexes? So in this case, 0 is the start of the index. So the string slicing format is you just give the whole string variable here, then specify start until end. Okay, that's how the format is. Okay. So what if you don't give the start or you don't specify an end? Okay, so let's take this example. So in this case, if you don't specify the start, okay, if you don't give the start name at all, start value, what will happen is, so if you do something like this, so you tell from colon to 4, what will happen is, I'll just give it in the next thing so you could see. So what will happen is, it will take the 0 as the first starting of the index. So if you don't specify a value, if the start value is not given, so the program will start from, it starts from 0 by default. Okay, so it will always take it as 0 as thing. Even if you give like 8, it will start from 0 and it will print until the 7th index. Okay, so similarly, if you don't specify the end value, say you tell 0, but you don't give the end of the values. If you don't give the end of the index, so if the end value is not given, what happens is it will print
Until the end.
until the end. Good job. Okay, so now it will print the whole name because I will not tell where to stop. It just prints the whole name. So if I tell 8 up until I don't know, then it will just print up until the end, so that it will not throw any errors. Okay. So this is what string slicing is. Any question? So this chunk of characters that is gotten after we do a slicing, so these are also referred to as substrings. Okay, if this is the whole string, and if you are just taking a part of it, then that is referred to as substrings. Okay, it's string slicing or substring, it's all the same. It's the same keyword. If you hear substring tomorrow somewhere, it's nothing different. It's just the part. It's just a piece of a string that you have taken out of the whole string and doing something with it. Okay. Okay. So one more thing that we have in string, one more method or anything is, say, so far we have talked about taking consecutive characters, right? So when I start with J and I do A, C, K, I just continuously I do every single character. So what if I need, like, I need every second character in a string, I need every third character of a string, or I need every fifth character of a string. So like you have a set pattern. I don't need a continuous sequence of strings. I need something else. So how would you do that? That's what we are going to talk about. Okay. So how do I do that? That is something called as step increase. Okay. Say for example, letters we have like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but that's okay. So we have all these letters, right? So say I want to print every third letter or something. So how do you do that? Is print letter. So if you do this, if I tell 0 to 26, it will print all the letters sequentially, right? So meaning this is what is happening. If I don't give this third character, what is happening is it's incrementing by 1. It's the same whether I give :1 or not. The loop, it just increments. So it goes to A, then B, then C. The loop just continues by 1 character. So if I specify by how many characters I have to skip, right? Say I have to skip 2 characters. So now it prints A, then it skips the second character, then prints the C, then it skips the second character, then prints the G. So it skips every second, it prints every second character after it. Okay. So if I give 3, then it's going to print A, D, G. So after printing A, it goes to D. It just prints the third character after the A. So after printing D, the third character is 1, 2, G, right? So after printing G, the third character is 1, 2, 3, J. So after J, the third character is M. After M, the third character is P. So on. So you could define how many skips you have to do or how many step increase you have to do. So this is called step value. Okay. So the step value defines how many characters. So in this, 5 is the step value. Okay. So it tells how many characters it has to increase. So if we don't specify anything, by default it is 1. The system always step increases by 1 if you don't specify it. If you specify, it will increase by that many digits. So these are some functions that we have. So where we use it depends on our programming requirements, like how we get in some places, right? So how we use it, we'll know more. But these are some basic step related functions that's there as part of Python. Okay. Any question on this about the step increase? So, okay. So remember we talked about an exception here, right? Where did we talk about here? So I said if I give an index number that is not correct, right? When there is no such index, and then if I give that, we get something called as index error. Okay, but do we get the same error when we do this slicing? The answer is no. Okay, meaning if I specify an index that is not part of it, what the system will do is it will print until the last digit and then it is skipped. It will not throw any exceptions. Okay. Let me show that. So I have given this. So I'm going to give 25 here. Okay. So it's not 25, but I'm going to give, or like let me say 50. Okay. So ideally, what I'm telling is print from 0 until 50. I'm telling. Okay. It will not throw any error. So the program will start from here. It will print up until all the indexes, but it will not give any error. Okay. So that is, it will print until the end of the string. Then what else? So if I give like this, if I tell 50 to 8, what will happen? It will print null. It will print empty because such value does not exist. So 50 to 8 does not. So the string does not have anything from 50 or up until 8. So this is an invalid index reference. So it will just print an empty string. It will return an empty string. It will not error out. Okay. Okay, so we will not get any index errors.
Wait, why are there no errors?
Because the string slicing will, this is not, we are trying to manipulate a string, right? We are just trying to do something with the string. So what it does is it will just, the program will automatically ignore it. So in this case, it will take the end of the string as the end. If the index is out of range, it will just take the end of the string. It will not error out. That's how the program, that's how Python behaves. So it does not cause an exception.
Oh, okay.
Only for slicing. When you do the slicing function, you will not get an exception. But when you're actually doing the looping and other thing, you will get an exception. Okay? Because here they substitute with the end of the value or 0. So they have that this substitution is there, right? If you don't specify, it takes 0, correct? Similarly, if it is wrong, it will take 0. If it's the end of the string that is wrong, it will print until the end of the index. So they have the substitution in place. So that's why it will not error out. Got it?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Okay. The last thing about string is, what is the next one in string? Let's see how we can test a string. What does test a string means? Like, I'm giving you a string, okay? I'm asking you to find if the string is has got any word alphabet in it. Does the string have the word is in it? So you could do those analysis by using something called as in and in not in. Okay, so you could use this to find out if a string contains something or not, whether a string contains a string, okay, like the string that you are looking for actually. Okay, let's say this example. Let's say text is equal to, let's say, yeah, you can tell what's. Oh, something like this. Yeah, Earth is round. So I'm asked if I ask now. I'm telling I have to find if there is a word is in this or not. Okay. So how do I do that? Is if is in text. Okay. So this statement, this is like a Boolean returns. Okay. This will return true if the statement says if there is in the word. If there is too many is, so I'll just use this earth. Okay. So if earth in text. So if there is earth, otherwise it will return false. That's how this function will behave. Okay. So this in class nothing but it validates if this word, if the string is there in your text that you're validating. If the string is there in this whole set of string, it will return true. Okay. Otherwise it will return false. So oops. And yes. Okay. Else print not false. So found because earth is there, so it's printing. So let's say like if I do earths, right? Even then it will tell found because it will just search for this continuous text. So earth, it does not matter if it's a full set of character or if it's like part of a string. It will just see if this set of character is there or not. If that is there, it will print found. If I do double T like this, so it will just print not found. That's how this validation happens. So it validates if that text is, if this particular word is in this text or not. Okay. So similarly, we could do not found. Okay, so not found will be like the opposite of it. So this will be the opposite validation. It will give true if there is no earth. Otherwise, it is false. Okay, so that is the difference. So depending on what logic or like what you are going to do, this thing may vary. Like if you want to use this in or not in is up to you. How you do want to do it. So let's say ball is round. Okay? So it's going to tell not found because this word is not exist. So this is printing this not found scenario. So that's how you see if a string is, if there is a string or there's a word in a particular string or not. So the other thing is like, say if you want to find out if there is if the string contains digits, okay? If it contains only alphabets, if it contains digits, if it contains alphabet, if it contains lowercase, uppercase, so we can do such validations in our string. Okay, so to see if the string contains only alphabets or digits, right? So you use this function called is ALMUM. Okay, how do you do that? I'll show you in a minute. So if it contains only alphabets, you use the function is alpha. Okay, if it is lowercase, you use this function is lower. If it is uppercase, you use this function is upper. So these are some 1, 2. Okay, if there is only digits, where is digits? I missed it. Only digits you do is digit. Okay, so these are the functions that we use to validate. So let's say string 1 equal to 93. Okay, so I'm going to tell if. So how do you use that? How use these functions is you have to reference this variable first, then dot is digit. So what is happening is you're validating if it's only digit against this string. So for which string you're going to validate, you should do that, then dot, and then your function. Okay. So all these functions will return true or false. Okay. So if the statement is matches, like if it is only digit, only alphabet, if it's all lower, all upper, then it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. That's a common across all functions. So in this example, I have given this string 1 as like this digits, and I'm validating if it is only digits, right? See, it is only digits, so it's printing only digits. If I add an A like this, and now I do, it says other than digits because the string also contains other characters in it. So that's how this digit is used. So similarly, so let's say for string 1 is, let's say, if I do this is alpha numerical. If I'm going to do that, now I'm going to say it's going to say alpha numerical because this has both digits and numbers. So similarly, you could validate if it is lowercase or uppercase. So how do you do that is, let's say text equal to okay. So if I do this, it will validate if it is lowercase or not. Okay. It says other because I have a capital N in it. So if I just give everything in lowercase, it's got so if I give string 1, then if I'm saying is lower, everything is lowercase, so it's printing this, it's going to this part of if class, meaning it's returning true. Okay, so you could do the opposite in for the caps too.
For the alpha num, the inbuilt function, is it like a alphabets n num or alphabets or num?
For alpha num, okay, let's see, it's alphabets or numbers, so it should work for both.
Okay.
So if I just give digits, right, even then it will tell true.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Can be alphabets or digits. So then what's the difference between is? So if I have a special character, right? So it will come here. So it has alphabets, it has digits, but it has an extra special character. So this function will return no false. Okay.
So like suppose we have a variable with which has special digits, numbers, and alphabets, and suppose we get this error saying other. So then we'll have to find like what special character came in that made this happen.
Correct.
I have a question. You cut out when you said what is NUM means, or what does that function mean?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
For me, you cut off when you said what is num function means at the last one?
Okay. So this one, right?
Yeah.
So what does all num does is it returns true if there are only alphabets or digits.
Oh,
Alphabets or digits. Okay. So
Okay.
meaning the
Got
string can have alphabets or digits, but if it has a
Okay.
special character, you will get another.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
yeah. So this alpha will validate if it is true if it contains only alphabets. Okay. If it's only digits, we use is digit. But if you want to see it can have only alphabets or digits, you use this alpha number. Okay. That's the three different.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So similarly, we saw uppercase and lowercase, right? So this is lowercase, this is uppercase. So these are all some of the string testing methods. So you could test if it's all digits, what digits does it have, if it contains a particular string in it, you can test that. Then,
I have a small question.
mhm,
Yeah, as I was saying, suppose we have that one, right? This one, so there and here. We
mhm,
do not know where this and is, where the
Mhm.
and's position is, and we get this error saying it says it prints other instead of alphanumerical.
mhm.
So then we will be like, where we want to know like where does this happen? How do we
Okay.
do that? Like where do we find where are these ands present?
Okay. So now, so this one so system says it's not, it's an other, right? So now you have to find out the position of it, right?
Yes.
So what you do is, so let's take the same string. You start looping around, okay, for I in string one, okay. So now I'm gonna go character by character and analyze it. So if I is, use the same function is I dot da, I think it works. Let me just do for this and then I'll explain. Okay, it's going 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Got it? So what I'm doing is now I'm iterating through the whole string. So I'm going one by one. So this will iterate me. This will iterate the whole string from 1 until the last character. Correct? So now it's iterating. Now I'm validating every single character. Is this an numerical? If it is, I'm just continuing. I'm not doing anything. You could print here too. It's not gonna hurt. You could do the same here. That's So it's just going to print the valid characters. Okay. So you can do either this or that. So that doesn't matter. We come to the point. It's easier to explain. So what happens is it will loop through for like every single character. If it is true, so first character 1, is it alphanumerical? True. So it will just skip. Then it will go to the second character. Is it alphanumerical? Yes, it is still alphanumerical. So it will go on till this D. Then when it comes to ampersand, is this alphanumerical? The statement will return a false, right? So automatically it will go to this else and it prints you this. So now you found what the invalid character is.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that.
If you want to find the position, you have to use that range function, right? When you create the range, then this I will denote the index position. You could do that too. Okay.
Okay.
Good question though. Good job. Okay, guys. So that's how we validate this alphanumerical digits or whatever. So any questions so far? Okay, so we are going to continue some more on this topic. So we saw all this alphanumerical, numerical, and all, right? So what if you want to modify the string, right? So say I want to convert to, so I have to convert to lowercase. I have to convert to uppercase. I have to convert to, I have to remove spaces at the beginning of the string. I have to remove spaces. I have to remove spaces at the end of the string, okay? I have to remove spaces at both beginning and end. So these are some ways for us to modify the string. So there are functions to do this, okay? So to convert to a lowercase, you do this dot lower string, whatever the string variable is, that string variable dot lower, okay? So to uppercase, you want to do same thing. You give the string variable, whatever the string variable or the string that you are going to convert, dot upper. Okay. So to remove the spaces from both from the beginning, so that is nothing but left. Okay. So when you take a character, the start is nothing but left. This end is the right. Okay. This is L. This is R. Okay. So you use this function. So string variable dot L strip. Okay, so L is nothing but left of the string or the beginning of the string. Okay, beginning or left of the string. Okay, then for the end of the string, you do R strip. Okay, so either it's called end or you could remember it as right of the string. Okay, so if you have to remember both, like in the beginning and at the end, you do just a strip. Okay, so it will remove all the leading and the trailing spaces from the character. Do we need an example? I can show you real quick. Okay, so let's say string 2 is equal to, okay, whatever. Easier if I do. Okay. So I want this to convert it to all lower caps. Simple. I'll do print. So the string variable. So whichever string you are going to modify, you have to give that string name here. Dot lower of. So now it will print this whole string in lower case. So if I similarly, if I need upper, it will print everything in upper character. Say if you have a password requirement and you want to store all the passwords in lower cases, or you have a user ID that you want to store everything in lower cases, you could use this function to manipulate the string, to modify the string. Modify or manipulate, you could call it anyway. Okay, so how does strip work? Say if I have this character, I have the space, then I wrote my dash, then I did something. Okay, so now I have this blank spaces in the beginning and at the end. So you have to remove it for some reason. Okay, so similarly, you just give the string variable dot. Let's do L strip first. See, the space is now gone. Let me print the string so you see what the difference. See, if I actually print the string, there is a space here. But if I do L strip, now this first space is gone. Similarly, if I do the R strip, the right side, so now this space is gone, right? So if I do the just a strip, if I just say strip, it will remove both the beginning as well as at the end of the string, both the spaces will be now gone. Okay. Okay. Right. So we'll see one more function and then we'll go for a break.
Oh, one thing. What about removing the spaces in the middle?
Good question. So for removing the spaces in the middle, there is no what do you call it? There is no function. So you would want to do something like this. You have to iterate through the whole string. Then if it is space, you just have to just skip it and then do concatenation. You have to do that programmatically. You have to apply different things.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you have to define one more variable like string 4, then keep appending. If it is not a space, if it's a space, don't append it. That's how you remove it. There is no function for it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
But good question. Good job. Okay, so we'll see one more function and then we'll go for a short break. Search and replace. So this you would use a lot, like when you do all this analysis for a search and replace. So if you are going to do string analysis or data analysis, right? Say you wanna replace a whole string, like you have a whole thing and you have to replace. You could do that using this function, which is nothing but replace. Old comma new. It's as simple as that. So let's say the text is okay. What is the text? See, I'm lacking the text. Okay, so you have this statement. Okay, so now I want to replace red from this text. Okay, so what you do is similarly you have to do the string variable, whatever the variable is, dot replace. Then what am I going to replace? The old value is red. I'm going to replace it with blue. Okay, so now let me print text. Let me print text here. Oops. Okay. What did not replace? Why? Why did not replace is I cannot replace like this. Why does it? Okay. Can anyone tell me why it did not replace? Anyone? What did I say? Strings are immutable. You cannot modify a string once it is created, right? So here, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to replace in this string itself. I'm telling now, I'm asking it the text to change, but the text will not change, right? Because once it is created, it's the same. All I could do is I could tell new text is equal to this. I can create another text by doing this text changes, but I cannot change the whole text. Understood? So this is how you use the replace function. So it now it is all red to blue. Yes.
Oh no, nothing. I had a question. I was sorry.
Okay. Okay. So that's how you use this replace function. And what other function do we have?
Also, is there like a search function? Anything like that?
This is what search will do, right? It will just search wherever the red is, and it will give. It will search is you do that in function, right? In and not in.
Oh, okay.
So you do that. So here the search and replace happens. Okay, it searches for red and replaces it. But if you want to find out if there is red in the statement, you use that in or not for searching. Okay, if you want to find which position is the red is, okay, so that thing you could do. So what you could do is print text dot find. Okay, you have this find. You want to find red. This is what you wanted, right? Searching. So it is 14. What is 14? Let me stop. I think it's just printing the last letter. Let's keep only one red, okay? We keep one red. So it tells the first position of it. So whichever there is the first position, it returns the first occurrence where the word red is found. Okay. If there is no red here, okay, if I ask it to find a blue, it will print a -1. So if you get if the value returns a -1, it means the string is not found. So it will not throw any error. So it will give you the actual number where the text is found. Otherwise, it will return a -1. So you could use this to validate. So it's telling it's found at it's not found. Okay. So that's it. So it's 14 and it's -1. Anything? So any questions? If no questions, you can go for a break. Okay, we'll go for a 5-minute break. We'll be back at time now. Is it 11, guys?
Yeah, I think
We'll be
it's
back at 11:05.
Yeah, we'll be back at like it's a 5-minute break should be good enough. Yeah.
Okay. Online then. See you in 5. Go drink some water. Guys. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me continue. So, okay, we start with if we found find and replace, right? So we have one more function that is split the strings. So we saw about string slicing. So slicing is mostly like you give the index and then you ask the string to be separated at that particular index. So what if you want to split this string based on some particular separators, right? Say if there is like space, you want to split the string. If there is a slash, you want to split it. If there is a dot, you need to split it. So the strings will get or it will return a list of words based on after the separator that we give. Okay. So let me show what it is, then maybe I'll talk about it. So let's say this one, right? So my string is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So now I want to print the list of words, right? I want to print 1, I want to print 2, 3, 4, 5. So meaning I want to print the letters after this spaces. So what I can do is, let's say words is equal to my string dot split. So if I don't specify anything, print words. So it creates a list, okay? So with the words from these strings. So now the words is nothing but it's a list of words 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's now all separate elements. So if I don't specify anything, it splits by the spaces. Okay. Say if for example now I have this, so date, right? So what is date? Today's date is 10/23/2021. So if you tell that, right? So now if I do print date dot split, I want this to be split in this character. So now this will be 10/23/2021. So now you can tell this is the month, this is the date, and this is the year. So that this function will now return these values as separate things. So this you can do a date, or you could also do similarly if the format is like this, right? If they have this hash, you could specify the hash here. Okay. Or if the word has like if the string has this what do you call it? What can I call? It can be like this too, right? It can have a comma too. So now if you want to print string dot split comma, it will still work. Okay. Clear? So this is how the split works. So the split, the string will get split or separated at the character that you specify. You can specify which character you want to split the string by. It will get separated. Okay. If you don't specify anything, after every it will take the space as a default value. Okay. So now this one is there, right? So how do you access? Now you have one 10/23/2021, right? So if you want to print it, like if you want to access these individual words, what do you do? Print month is, what is month?
10.
So what do you do is, so let's say, so now this becomes a list, right? So when you do the split, it gets created as a list, right? So now this date characters are stored under this list. So now whatever it is, so date list of 0 is 10, right? So this is your 10. This is the month. So which is the date? Date is 1. And your year is the second character.
Wait, but we're not telling the date list is a list, right?
Date list is a list, yes. So the once you split the string, it automatically creates a list. The values are stored as a list. See, if I print, it's a list, right? It's contained in this square brackets, meaning we created a list. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you manipulate the string and you separate it, it's nothing but a list. So once you have a list, you apply every function that you know. You could this is date list of 0. It just goes by this index, right? This is 0th element, first element, second element. Now you can add, separate. Any operation that you do on a list, you can do it here. So this is how you tackle it. Okay. Okay. So now we have done this. Let's go to so we talked about, so that's all the strings functions that I wanted to cover. I pretty much covered, and all these strings, these formats, the examples are going to be there in lecture notes as well. Okay. So I know it's a lot of functions to remember, but I want you guys to understand the concept. That's it. So you can always refer back to lecture notes for syntaxes, and when you practice more problems, you'll get familiar with it. Okay. So one last time, any questions before I move forward? 1,
No.
2, 3. Good. Okay. So now that we have, oops, what homework? We are not there yet.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Will the lecture notes will this PowerPoint be posted?
I'm sorry?
Will the PowerPoint be posted? This PowerPoint?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so now we have talked more about string, we have covered list too. So the next data type or the collection that we are going to talk about today is tuple. Okay, I wanted to cover dictionaries and set too, but I think I'm not sure if we'll be able to cover everything. So we'll start with tuple first. Let's see how much we go forward. Okay. So what is tuple? Okay. So these are also nothing but an immutable sequence. So when the word immutable means once it is created, it cannot be changed. So this is very similar to list. Okay, all actions are like how we reference list, all functions that we learned about list, it's all the same. Okay, the two differences, the list as okay, the first difference is, so how do you identify a list, right? So all the elements, if it is contained in a square bracket, it is a list. Okay, but tuples, it is created when you enclose all the elements in a set of parentheses. So you see this parenthesis, right, the left and right. So when an element are illustrated by this, then this means this is a tuple. If the same 1, 2, 3, 4 is in a square bracket, that's denoting a list. Okay. So the difference between list and tuple is, so for the list is not immutable. Okay, the list is mutable, meaning you can change list. Once you create a list, you can keep adding to it. You can remove from it. You can modify it. You can do whatever we have seen: append, insert, delete. All those functions for list. So list is mutable. You can change after it is created. But tuple, similar to a string, it is immutable. So once it is created, that is it. It cannot be changed. It cannot be modified. Anything. Okay, so a tuple is created when you enclose the elements in a square bracket. So tuple is a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. Okay, so it's in an order, like, so if you tell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is it. You cannot change 1, 3, 2, 4, 5 or anything like that. You cannot change the order. The tuple is stored in the same order that it is created. Okay, let's see what let's see a few examples and see what the benefits are, like how we can use it. Let me go back to my. So like I said, so this is an example of tuples, right? So we use this parenthesis to enclose all the elements in a tuple. Okay, so it can have any data type. The data type can be like similar to list. It can be number, it can be characters, it can be mix and match. You could have anything. Okay, so but should I print it? And my tuples. Okay. Similar to list, we can do all these things in tuple. You could do indexing. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these things that we did in list, right? We could do the same thing here. Indexing you can do. You could do negative indexing. Right? So if you say print my tuple of 0,
It's my tuples.
yes, thank you. See, it's going to do that. If you want to do same thing. Okay, I'm not going in explaining again the same thing because we have seen all of this in list. Okay, you could refer back and see what functions we have used. You're gonna use the same functions here. Okay, so I'm not gonna go deep dive, so you could always refer back to list, but I'm gonna cover what all applies to tuples but not to list. Okay, So first thing I said, you could do indexing, you could do negative indexing, you could do all the methods that uses this, like all the for loop iterating. So all that thing you could do it in tuples too. Okay. Then you could find the length. Okay. So you use the length function to find the length. So it is print my tuples. So length of my tuples. So it will tell you how many, what is the actual length of the tuples. What next? You could tell the min function. What does the min function do in a list? Anyone?
Finds the minimum value.
Exactly. So similar to list, in tuples also, it gives you the minimum value in the tuples. Okay. So we also have that max function. So max is going to give you the maximum value of the max element that's contained in this tuples. So 4. Okay. Slicing. So we just learned about the slicing in strings, and we have learned about slicing in the list too, right? So similarly, we can do slicing. We can do slicing in tuples too. How do you do that? You just tell this, then you tell 0 to 2. Once you tell that, it's gonna print 0 to 2. So it will print 0, 1. You could tell 0 to 2, 2 to 4. So all the slicing logic that we talked about, we could do this. So this will print from first till the beginning, and this will print from third character until the end of the tuple. So all this logic, whatever we saw just now, right? So the same slicing logic, we could do it in tuples too. Okay. Then let me copy it. The next function that tuple has is the in operator. The same thing for I in. You could do that. For I in where my tuples print I. Let me copy and create a new one. So I would want you guys to go refresh back the list functions that we studied about. So this is an opportunity to do that. So you could learn both about this and as well as that. So all these functions that I'm talking about, if you guys have any doubt, let me know, or you could always go back to the earlier notes and refer to. Okay, but if you have questions now, you could stop and ask me too. I'm just going on because it's already covered. I don't want to bore you guys taking again and again the same thing. Okay, so similar to the iteration, so this in operator, we can do it. What else we can do? The list multiplier, do you remember? What is
Yes.
a repetition operator? Yeah, so what is it?
It repeats the values in the list how many times we tell it to.
Good. So if I tell my tuples is this, so now I'm telling print my tuple by 3 times, what happens? So it will now, it created a new tuple by repeating this whole list, whole tuple 3 times. So this is the repetition operator. Okay. So then what is this concatenation operator, right? What does that do? And
Add.
Let's see, +3, what it will do. I'm not sure. It's going to error. I need another. So what it now concatenated this first tuple, sorry, it added or concatenated, how you tell it. So it now to this, it added this new tuple. So now the whole tuple is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So similar to list, we could do this too. append or concatenation, whatever it wants to call. The second. Okay. So this is not a true concatenation. It just adds and it displays it. Like I said, you cannot append to this. I cannot do my tuples is equal to plus. I cannot do like this. Okay, it will error out because tuples cannot be modified or changed once it is created. So what is not supported? Okay, so what things we cannot do in a tuple? So in a tuple, you cannot do any append. Okay, you cannot do a remove. You cannot do a sort. You cannot do stop. Not stop. Okay, you cannot do an append. Meaning, once a tuple is created, you cannot add values to it. You cannot remove value from it. You cannot remove, meaning, so once you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you cannot remove 6 from it. Once it is created, it's created. Then you cannot do an insert. Okay, you cannot do a reverse, like reversing the whole list. You cannot do that, or you cannot do a sort. You cannot sort it by minimum to maximum or like reverse anything. You cannot do that. So once it is created in a particular order, it's always the same. The order cannot be changed. So these actions is not supported in a tuple. Okay. So one thing I also want you guys to remember is, say if I say if there is only one element, right? If I just say my tuple is so if there is 2 elements, 3 elements, you define like this, right? So you give all the elements and you just enclose them in a parenthesis, then a tuple is created. Say your tuple has like only one element, okay? So if you just give like this, right? So this is not a tuple. It's just it's considered a variable, okay? Though it's given in a parenthesis, and if it has only one element, it's nothing but it assigns a value 1 to this variable. It's not a tuple. So if you want this to be a tuple, you have to just give a comma to it. So you're telling the system, I'm not creating a variable, or I'm not assigning a value to a variable, I'm creating a tuple. So only when you say this, a tuple will get created. So now let's print tuple. So this is something like some unique scenario about how to create a tuple. So you cannot just have one. See, it's not a tuple, right? It just prints this variable 1. It's not printing a tuple. So only if I give like this, it will, though there is empty, this is considered a tuple. Okay. Okay. So now I have showed like what is a tuple and what things you could do and what you cannot do in a tuple, right? See, almost everything at a list is a tuple does too. And why do you need a separate collection like this? Why do you need a separate type of collection called tuple, which is almost duplicate of list? Anyone, any guess? Why do we need that? Why is such thing like that? Here. Okay. So the main difference or the main purpose of tuple is performance. Okay. So it is said that processing of tuple is faster than processing of list. Why? Because we don't sort, we don't order. It's an ordered function. It's stored in an ordered fashion. So memory access is so easier. So the performance is pretty fast when it comes to tuple. Okay. Also, the main important thing is the data does not get modified. So once you tell my tuple is 1, 2, 3, 4, the data is going to stay as it is throughout your programming. So there is no when you process a lot of data like customer data, consumer data, any data that you process, but you don't want the program to modify it. You just want them to just access it by knowingly or unknowingly. You don't want anyone to change it. You use tuple. Okay, so the data will stay as it is. It will not get modified. So in that cases, they go for this tuple. They assign the value to this tuple and then start the processing. So that's the main main two advantages of using a tuple. So the first one is performance. That is, tuples are processed faster. The second thing is data is not modified. Okay, so this is the advantage of why having tuples over list. Okay, so now we talked about like how tuples and lists together. How can we convert? Is there a way to convert from tuple to list? Yes, you can do that. Okay, so there is a built-in function, right? Remember this list function? So you could use that function to convert a tuple to a list. Say this is here, right? So let's say my tuple is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it okay? So now I want to convert this tuple to a list. Say in the middle of the program, I figured out that I want to change the value, right? I want to add something to have to process the list, modify the tuples. Then the only way to do is you convert that to a list and then make your changes. So my list is equal to, what is it? List of my tuple. Print my list. Let's print my tuple. Got it? See, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this tuple is converted to a list 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you convert it from. That's how you convert a tuple to a list. If you want to do vice versa, right? If you want to convert a list to a tuple, the reverse way. So you use a built-in function called tuple, okay? So what you do, this is my list is equal to A, B, C, D. Okay. So now I want to convert it to my tuple. So my tuple is nothing but tuple of my list. Change my tuple. Okay, so here this list is now converted to tuple. So you use this inbuilt function tuple to do that. To convert to a list, you use the list function to do that. Okay, any questions? So how to access? Okay, thank you. How to access the tuples, right? So I think I've already showed it. So similarly, you use that indexing method to do that, right? So you do my tuple of 1. If you tell that, it will just print the indexing method to access. What happens when you try to change? Okay, I said it's not changeable, right? You cannot change the tuple values, right? But when you try to do so, what happens? Will it throw an error? Let's see. Okay, I'll just copy this. Say so this is this is a tuple set. Okay, so now I'm telling my tuple of 0 is equal to, I want to change it to Z. Okay, so what will happen? Will it throw an error? It will throw an error. It tells tuple object does not support item assignment. So if you try to assign values, if you try to change it, you're going to get an error. Okay. So we already saw about looping through. For looping, you have to use for. What else did we see? The length we saw, right? So length function we saw. Then you cannot remove, you cannot add. When you do that, you will get an error. But you can delete you cannot remove a particular element from a tuple, but you can actually delete the whole tuple. Okay. So let's say this is my tuple, right? So when you say del my tuple, print my tuple, you're gonna get an error. It's gonna tell my tuple is not defined because I have deleted. Okay, so it's not error because of this one. It just deleted. So this tuple no longer exists. I could create, I could delete, but I cannot modify or add or change anything to it. Okay. Okay. So we have two methods that's delivered by Python. Tuple methods, like how we saw string methods, right? So similarly, we have some tuple methods. The first one we are going to talk about is countof. So what the countof is, it will return the number of times the value is there in the value occurred in a tuple. Okay, say this one. So if you say countof, so A is there like one time. If I add another A here, so it's going to tell 2. So there are 2 A's in the tuple. So it's going to count and tell you how many number of times the particular value, whatever you search for, how many times it is there in the tuple. It just gives the number of occurrences. Okay. Then the second built-in function that we have is this index. What is index? So this gave you how many times this A existed, right? So if you want to find the position where a particular value is, you use this index function. Okay, if you want to find out what the index B is, okay, so you just do my tuple dot index of B. I want to find out where B is. So the B is in index 0. If I give A, it's gonna specify the first index. So it always, like if there are multiple occurrences and you try to find a value in it, it will give you the lowest index or it will give you the first occurrence. Okay, though there is one at the end, but you always get the first occurrences. Same with string or list, anywhere. You find something and if they are repeating, you will get the first occurrence. Wherever it finds, it will just give you that as a result. So if you give C, it's going to give you 0, 1, 2. So we have two tuple methods. One is count. It tells the number of occurrences of a particular value. And the index method, it tells the position where that value is present in a tuple. So this is it about tuples, okay? So these are the two methods and these are some of the functions that we could do on a tuple. Any question? Okay. So I'm not sure if I rushed through for tuples. I didn't repeat because we have already covered it in the list. So if you guys have any questions, you could email me or go look at the lecture notes for list and then try to read through. So even after that, if you have questions, you're always welcome to email me for any further questions. Okay, so we just have like what? 20 more minutes. So I don't think we'll be able to cover dictionary in today's class. So I would stop here. Let's cover the dictionary in next class, okay? So because dictionary is a pretty different topic altogether. It's going to be different than what we have seen. So list and tuples are almost same, but dictionary is totally different. So it has a different purpose of how we use it, how we manipulate it. So we'll start fresh next class and cover it. We'll talk about dictionaries and we'll talk about set in next class. Okay. Where is it? So we have talked about list, we have talked about tuples, so we have finished the whole sequences listing. So we have left set and dictionaries. So these two data types we'll talk about in next class. Okay, so now what I want to do is, I think we did not cover the quiz, right? So we didn't discuss the quiz questions. We'll go there. And this collab note for this session will be shared in the lecture notes. Okay, I'll share it. So you guys can always go here and see. I'll publish the lecture notes. I'll also upload the, the PowerPoint as well. Okay. So we'll look into the quiz questions now, and then we'll talk about the homework, and then we could wrap it up. Before I go to quiz, any question? Anything you want to talk about, guys? Okay, good. Okay, I'll take that as a Okay, can you see the quiz questions in the screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's start. The first question. This is a pre-written function that is built into a programming language.
B.
B, correct. Library functions. Question number 2. This term describes any mechanism that accepts input, performs some operation that cannot be seen on the input, and produces output. What do you call that?
D.
D. D as in black box. That's the right answer. Because we don't see it, we call it as a black box. That any function that happens again at the end, we don't see it. We call it a black box. Okay. Then third, the standard library function returns a random integer within a specified range of values. So if it returns a random integer, what is it called? Rand init. Okay. 3B is the answer. Fourth one, it returns a random floating point number in the range of 0 up to 1. So what returns a random floating point number in the range?
Random.
Random. Good job. So fifth one, the standard library function returns a random floating point number within a specified range of values. So what is it?
Uniform.
Uniform. Good. Sixth one, the else suit in a try except statement executes only if a statement in the try suit raises an exception. True or false?
False.
False. Good. You do not have to import a program. You do not have to have an import statement in a program to use the functions in the random module. True or false?
False.
False, because random is a separate module. You need to import it first. Eighth one. When an exception is generated, it is said to have been
Raised.
raised. Correct. Exception is raised. An exception raises. That's the term. Number 9. You write the statement to respond to exceptions. Run handle, try except, try handle, attempt except. Which is the correct syntax?
B.
B. Try except. This is the correct answer. Okay. And the last one, if you do not handle an exception, it is ignored by the Python interpreter and the program continues to execute. True or false?
False.
False, yeah. When there is an error, the program fails. If you handle it, if you have a value to just go do something else, right? So you have to handle the exceptions. So good job, guys. So Sugirta, Eddie, and Abhishek, congratulations. So these three got full marks in quiz. Good job, guys. Okay. And we'll talk about the homework quickly and then we all can go home or go do next. Okay. Okay. So can you guys see this doc?
Yes.
Okay. So the first question is vowels and consonants. Write a program with a function that accepts a string as an argument and returns the number of vowels that the string contains. So you're going to get an user input, ask the user to enter a string, okay? And then you are going to tell how many vowels are there in that string, okay? The application should have another function that accepts the string as an argument and returns the number of consonants the string contains. The first, it's going to return number of vowels, then it's going to return number of consonants. Okay, you should do that. Okay, so this is in general. That's it. So you are asking the user to enter a string. You are displaying the number of vowels, the number of consonants. So you are going to write. Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
should this be like a function or can that be like any other way?
It's going to be a function. So I need one function to return vowels, second function to return consonants. So then the main program should call these two functions. The main program should get the user input, then call vowel function to get the number of vowels, then call the consonants function to get the number of consonants. You should display that.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 3-part to it. Function 1, function 2, then the main function. Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay, question number 2, number analysis program. Okay, so design a program that asks the user to enter a series of 20 numbers. The program should store the numbers in a list and then display the following: the lowest number in the list, highest number in the list, total numbers in the list, then the average numbers in the list. So you're going to get the user input, ask the user to enter 20 numbers. It can be any number, it has to be 20 numbers. So whatever the user inputs, you're going to store it in a list. Okay. Then you're going to display all these 4 answers on the screen. You have to say lowest, you have to find the lowest number, highest number, then the total and the average. Okay. So bonus question if you want to try, okay? So this is in list, right? You could try it using tuples too. You could use list or tuples. Both is fine, okay? Because all the operations are supported in both cases, so you could do either of that.
The third question is not present in the document sent in the website.
Yeah, I'll republish because we did not do dictionary, right? So we did not take dictionary. The third question was dictionary. So I had to quickly change it. So I'll republish this question in the website. Okay.
Okay.
So this is going to be the third question. So many companies use telephone numbers like 555 get food. So the number is easier for the customers to remember. So on a standard telephone, the letters are mapped to a numbers, right? So A, B, and C is 2, D, E, F is 3, G, H, I is 4, up until 9. So what you're going to do is write a program that asks the user to enter a 10-character phone number. The application should display the telephone number with the alphabet characters that appeared in the original translated to the number equivalent. Meaning, if I enter this 555 get food, you have to convert G to 4, E to 3. So you have to convert and you have to display me the actual number. So this will be the user input and you have to display the number based on this conversion, based on this assignment values. Okay, it can be anything. I can enter like hi, G. The format has to be this. It has to be in this format, but I want you to display the numbers. Any question?
So this program is for the letters to the numbers, right?
Yes. The user will give the alphabet. You have to print the phone number.
So do we also have to do if they give number, we convert it to alphabet? Or?
You can try that.
Okay.
That would be like an additional bonus question for you. But the question I'm asking here is alphabets to numbers. So the reverse is good too. If you try that, that's good. That's I'm more than happy to evaluate that. Okay. Okay. So these are the 3 questions homework for this week, and the standard rules apply, right? So the homework is due next Tuesday midnight, and I want you guys to submit in the collab and upload it as PDF. So all that whatever we do every week still applies. So like I said, the homework on the site is not current. I'll publish this latest homework in like next hour or so. You guys can continue with that. So having said that, any questions? Anything to talk about? All good?
Yes.
Did you guys like the class? Did you guys understand?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if that is it, then guys, so have a good weekend. Have a good rest of the Saturday. Enjoy. See you guys in 2 weeks.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye guys.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye,
You
thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
I'll see you on Saturday.
Mhm.
Class.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't get the question. Okay, all right.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. If you have any questions, you can email info@agoramatrico.org or comment below and we'll reply back. Maybe. And if you want to see practice things or anything about us, you can visit our website, which is basically the end of the email but without the info and the end. So bye!